Good afternoon. Thank you for being here. I found that the last two open sessions we had, one on April 14th when we gathered to hear the contents and the structure of the budget reduction plan, was very important to everybody. It was important for me to make sure that you were being informed, whether you like the news or not, to be informed as to know what was happening in and among and around you. Also on opening day, when I gave my presentation on the state of the budget and what was in store for us, probably had more feedback on that presentation from across the campus about how important that was and how informative it was to create a context in which we can filter the other information we get, whether it be hallway information, whether it be in the newspaper, or where that information comes from. We're all vulnerable for being influenced by information that conflicts. So my purpose of providing these open forums is for me to communicate to you as clearly as possible and as openly as possible where we are, what's ahead of us, and what we're planning to do about it. Now, these forums are available to every employee and every student that either works here or attends here. I'm sorry for the delay. We have a new remote robotic 3-camera system that we're working with the County Office of Education through their COE TV program, and these forums will be aired on Channel 19 on Charter Cable, not only for you, but for the public, to make sure the public is informed and understands what some of the issues are. So if some of you came unprepared to be televised and maybe on TV, I apologize for that, and we can take a moment for you to go freshen up or something. But anyway, it will also be available on our website. Stefan, probably next week it'll be available. Stefan will send out an email when that's ready and with instructions of how to access that. So we want to keep these fresh. The frequency of these will be probably once every 2 months, probably following a board meeting, so we can update you on, on the excuse me, the actions that the board has taken relative to the issues that are at hand. And it's designed to be informative, but also I want it to be interactive. So Lisa has a microphone. Since we are capturing not only the video, but also the audio part of this, when you open it up for questions, we want to make sure you use the mic so we can capture the question and the audio part of the production. I want to welcome North County. It was nice to join Sandy for her lunch. And yeah, thank you, Sandy. So the email I sent out inviting you today, there were at least 4 topics I wanted to address, and I know there's a skillion more, and if I don't address the topics that are interest of you and you want to bring those up during the Q&A, that'll be fine. Some of the questions I may be able to answer now, or maybe information I don't have at hand, but we will, Lisa's going to take notes of those. We'll make sure that we send out information that is addressing the question or the concern that you have. So let me first of all comment on the action of the board. The board took about 4 really important actions that affect us all. One is, you remember on May 11th, the board accepted and took action on the budget reduction plan, which they passed 2 resolutions, one affecting the reduction of work year for classified, confidential, and management employees, and they also accepted and approved a resolution indicating classified and management layoffs. There are other positions that did not appear on those 2 classifications that were either eliminated or frozen and not filled, but they didn't impact an individual, so they did not appear on those resolutions. In total, there were about 46 positions affected, 41 classified, and 5 management and confidentials in terms of that total mix. The board was asked to take action to modify the resolution on work year reduction that they approved on May 11th. And that was because the College Foundation passed a resolution at their board meeting to support portion of the reduction of employees, both classified and management employees in the foundation office and also in marketing communication. Employees whose work directly affects the ability of the foundation to do its work, which is to generate resources for all of us in our programs and services. So they bought back 3 1/3% of the reduction, which made the net reduction for those employees 5%. Those included some a general fund funded position and some foundation funded positions. The board also approved 3 new classified job descriptions were a result of the reclassification process that's part of the collective bargaining agreement with CCCUE. We will continue to honor that contract, and when we have reclassifications that go through the reclassification committee and are approved for action, then we will take those actions to the board and fund them accordingly. Also, what came up, I believe Janie raised the question at my budget reduction workshop about groups of classes and groups of performance classes that fall outside of the program definition, and what protections or what scrutiny will be utilized on those entities if and when we get into further program reduction or retrenchment of our instructional program. So those performance classes in performing arts and also in the athletic department really don't come under the purview of the board policy that talks about revitalization, reduction, elimination of programs. So the Academic Senate brought forward in August a resolution to provide wanting the board to approve a process that would generate a consultative interaction to help make sure those programs are being looked at carefully and not just, as we've seen across the country, both at the K-12 level and also at the community college level. Many times those programs are the first to go because they are not essential in some people's mind. The board didn't approve it at the August meeting because there was some language in there that they thought could be improved. So the Academic Senate President, Kevin Bottenbaugh, and myself worked on that. He brought forward a revision to me. I accepted that. I presented it back to the board on the 7th, and they enthusiastically supported unanimously, which was really an important statement, not only to all of us, but also to our community and our supporters, that these particular kinds of programs and classes are vital, just as other classes that we offer. And they should undergo the same evaluation and scrutiny of any program, whether it be an English program or a math program or a welding program. So that was an important gesture by our board. They also approved a final budget. We are required under state law to submit a final budget to the Chancellor's office no later than September 15th. Now, for the last at least a half a dozen years, we haven't approved a budget until October, November, because the state hasn't approved their budget. So that deadline has always been extended. So it created, the good news was the state approved a budget in time for us to take action by their deadline. What we found out, however, is that it creates a challenge for us to be able to process our budget through our planning and budget planning calendar so that people feel like they have had a role or a hand in it, or at least be able to give some reaction to the budget. It's challenging because the way our calendar works, our academic calendar with the fiscal calendar. So we've asked the board to consider moving their September board meeting later one week in order to create a little bit more cushion so we can have some more consultation time. And the board is open to that. They don't have to make that decision yet, but we will keep that on the radar for them to consider on the next cycle that we go through. And the last part I wanted to mention is that in recognition of the approval of the budget, we were able to reclaim about $600,000 of last year's $1.5 million that we put into the budget from contingency to balance the budget. We were able to pull back $600,000 of that and put it back in the contingency fund. Because we got some growth money last year, we actually had some new revenue to fund some of the things that we had planned to use contingency money for. So that gave us the ability to repair this contingency fund, which was down to $2.4 million. So that's the good news, that we were able to replenish that. And this is one-time only money. It's like a savings account. Once we spend it, it's gone. And if you recall, in this year's budget that we took to the board, we have $1.2 million out of contingency funds to help balance the budget in this year. The second topic that we mentioned that we would address was the planning for mid-year cuts. So I just wanted to take us back a little bit about where we were. When we developed the tentative budget earlier, we at that time were facing a 9.1%, that was the planning cut. So our goal was to cut $4.3 million. Our workload was being